Nimi on anekdootista. As we all know, if anything can go wrong, it will. The famous law from what's his name? Murphy. I remember still very clearly a poster where Murphy's law was printed at the back of my parachuting gloves airplane. The first time I was going up, never having jumped out of the plane, it was very sort of a good feeling to think that, okay, here I am. Nothing can go wrong, so therefore I'm fine. So here we are, nothing can go technically wrong. So let's see how things unfold. So as Eva was already introducing, so I'm splitting my time currently between teaching at the University of Art in Berlin and working at the design agency art+com. Today, because of the time limits, I will not be talking about the works at the UDK, but alluding to the sort of, what I named what the lecture is called Renaissance of Space, looking at how media design has kind of evolved over the last 20-25 years from the screen into the physical space. So what we just wonderfully saw in the previous presentation was the sort of spatial typography. I'm looking now more at the sort of definition of physical space, how it started and took off from the screen. So, and I will be doing this through a couple of case studies over the 20-odd year history, 25 years of history of art+com. That, by the way, in this graphics, I'm lazy, so I just took the cover page or the index page of our book that we just recently put together, and these are the projects out of the book. So I will be skipping through a few of the samples. So first, I will be looking at TerraVision. This is something that maybe also a quick reference to one of the earlier talks today. Unfortunately, I was here quite at the beginning, but the two talks that I managed to catch before this moment, there was lots of talk about the role of design in research. And maybe a colleague of mine, Phil Tabor from the Venice University of Architecture, he summarized it most beautifully to me before the role of design in the context of research, which was, he was saying, designers are there to provide a vision. So it's not necessarily working out the nitty-gritty of how to get things, how to implement everything from ground up, but to give a concrete experience of how it would be if this was the reality. And this is maybe a good example of that. This is the work that was done at art+com before my time there. So in early 90s, which was a commission from the German government looking at what to do with the bandwidth of the future. So back then it was unconceivable that you could possibly need sort of a 1 megabit, 2 megabit connections that is commonplace today. But they were wondering, like, what on earth would you want to put through that pipe? And this project, TerraVision, came about from that sort of posing of the question. In this case, the early days of art+com was founded as a group of designers, filmmakers, hackers, technologists, and architects who started looking at the medium of, or the medium of computation. So the new medium about interactivity that is paradigmatically different than any of the media before, even though it does combine many aspects of them. You might find an eerie kind of resemblance between 94 back then, which was the time when the internet wasn't quite fast enough, and then what we today all know and love in Google Earth. So this was the concept back then was really, it's literally the same sort of idea what we now have in Google Earth. So looking at hypothetically infinite database geospatially mapped over about the globe, including then different levels of details of this kind of physical information, as well as then also hyperlinked information, as in using labels in the kind of hovering as billboards in the map that then provides direct access to the information. So this was, back then it was rendered by one of those silicon graphics supercomputers that my laptop now has more computing power than that. So it was in a way vision before its time. So it took another 7 years before this was feasible at the large scale that today is at everybody's desk. So this was the sort of, so for me this is the sort of the beginning of looking at the media design in space purely from the virtual point of view. Okay, so I don't have to go further into that because all of you, I'm sure, are experts of Google Earth anyway. The second thing I wanted to quickly allude to was this project, the Jew of Malta, which is it's an opera based on Christopher Marlowe's libretto, contemporary of Shakespeare back in the day. So when Angesleva was writing the opera, was asking art+com to join the project at the moment of writing. So it was very special situation to have media design studio work together with the composer to create a contemporary opera performance. Since the story was very fragmented anyway, the idea of using the media was to support the otherwise maybe partially incomprehensible storylines unfolding on stage. So, and those of you who know the story, Machiavelli is this sort of omnipotent character who kind of brings the three world religions to sort of to a clash that's deteriorates into worse and worse situation, ending up in murder and so forth. At the same time, Machiavelli himself is losing his power. So the staging of the original play took in a monastery. The modern rendition of that was then translated into a bunker, which is very similar in that it on one hand serves as a shelter, just like a monastery does, but it's also a prison, kind of, you know, closing the ghost inside in itself. The way this virtual stage design, the monastery in this case, which is now rendered in the bunker, was presented is a three-dimensional, real-time 3D world that gets sliced in the physical space. So it's sliced through different clipping planes. So this is more prototype at this studio in the time of the making. So these three different clipping planes then basically slice through this 3D model that, as the model is turning, is creating very strong spatial experience of this bunker. Now, this was on one hand the one half of it to say that, okay, how can you have the same sort of a deconstructivist staging to the story? It was then done by using these virtual cameras that literally cut through this 3D model. And these virtual camera slices that you see, these three cones over there, these were then exactly in the virtual space, exactly the same place where the stage canvases were positioned for the projection. So it creates a perfect three-dimensional appearance, even though it's only 2D planes. So this on one hand was for the surroundings. Then the second thing, the characters themselves, we developed a 3D tracking system so that you could actually gesture on stage. Now Minority Report and all of these things are now in sort of a popular culture everywhere, but back then it was something new. This gestural interaction you see now here, Machiavelli on the left, he's using his gestures to redesign the stage with a stroke of a hand. When he doesn't like the stage, he makes a new one. He's omnipotent, he's full control of everything on the stage. The other characters, these are the members of the three religions. They are just stooges and they can't do anything. And this was, as I said, based on this infrared gamma tracking principle that is running in the background. This is also something that it was like, so to create this kind of a sense that indeed Machiavelli is in full control, it is not possible to try to match it. It has to be interactive. It has to be characters because the story would be very hard to follow only by listening to the audio, deciding to project the emotional states of the characters onto their body using the same projection setup. So here we're creating masks that can be then used to project the sort of patterns that represent the emotions of the characters back to the stage themselves. So here you see different characters having different virtual costumes, and they are reflecting their internal state in their relation to Machiavelli at the time. So this is sort of using the virtual medium, bringing it back to the physical space of the stage design and of the costume design. And you see how the characters also change, like they get influenced by each other and hence change their internal state as well. Okay, so this was the rather long and winding introduction, but here you already see this sort of a transition where from purely the virtual space and thinking of three-dimensionality in the virtual domain into how to map this virtual, in this case, projection in the physical space. Now also maybe needless to say, we all know all these fantastic building projection works that are now really, really common.